James. I'm going to call you James. Is that okay?
Yep.
James, you have been arrested and you're charged. What are the charges and what's the situation?
When I was first arrested in St Ives, I was arrested for blackmail, which
Is that significant?
that was what they arrested me on originally, which carries a 14-year sentence, and they dropped it down to stalking when CPS charged me. When I was taken to Casbolt police station, and they dropped it down to a stalking charge there.
So I thought you were initially arrested for possession of cannabis or something. Bit of blood.
No, they searched my flat after I was arrested and they found cannabis there, a small amount.
So that was just a way of getting you into this police station or what?
No, the police called me at home and said, we'd like to talk to you.
And when did this happen? To give us a timeline.
It was about 4 weeks ago, wasn't it?
So we are now talking on the 21st of August, so that would be roughly 22nd July?
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were arrested and what's happened? You're arrested and charged for what right now?
Stalking and possession of cannabis.
And that's stalking online? Online stalking? Facebook, that's it.
It was releasing naked pictures of a certain person I can't talk about.
Okay.
Or I'll break my bail conditions.
Right. Okay, well, this leads us to James Casbolt. Who is James Casbolt? When did you get married? You've had kids or what? You've been married before, or did you just have a relationship before? Can you give any details of who you are, you know, the local guy down in Cornwall, really?
I've only ever been married once to a certain American girl.
Okay. And when did that marriage happen?
That was
It's only about a year and a half ago, James.
Yeah, but you see, dates, this is what I struggle with, dates and times.
Okay, well, we are now dealing with the 21st of August 2014 at about 11:10 at night, the day before you're appearing in court here in Truro, okay? So you were married in the United States?
Yeah, I was married in Grand Rapids in Michigan.
Right. Any reason for that?
It was in the a place called the Amway Hotel. It was owned by another billionaire family who are well known in Grand Rapids, the DeVos family.
Okay.
And
the which family?
DeVos, D-E-V-O-V-O-S, DeVos.
Yes.
And they own the Amway Corporation.
Okay.
Which is
Now,
a big corporation.
You the first time I interviewed you was here in Truro at Truro College, and you had a very nice girl there who was with you, and that was in the opening shots of the interview. I think it's called Basis 4. That was you. Did you have a child with her, and do you want to talk about her at all in any way?
That was. I mean, I mentioned this before. 2006 is when I first kind of woke up in a way. And kind of came around in St Ives. Before that, I'm missing a good 10-15 years, which I can't remember.
So, did you have you had a kid, or did you have a baby?
That was my one of my first girlfriends. Her name was Cheryl.
Okay.
Who you met at the first time we did the bases at the Truro College, but I wasn't married to her, and I never had any children with her.
Right, so you haven't had you haven't had a child before?
Yeah, I've got a daughter.
Okay.
12-year-old daughter.
And that's not from the girl that was on the film?
No, that's from a different...
Do you want to talk about her or mention her at all?
It's best that I don't.
Okay, well, whatever. It seems that the papers may go after this. So the bottom line is that your friends and colleagues, which I recorded for Basis 24, were saying you involved in a number of rituals and all sorts of stuff like that up in Holyrood Castle, or before you went to the United States, and you mentioned this in the Skype interviews.
Yeah.
They're saying, in a nutshell, that you're not the same person that they know when you went to the States and when you came back. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, that's what a lot of people are saying.
What do you want to say about that?
I went through a lot of traumatic events in America.
Can you talk about those events?
There were so many of them.
We'll talk about them.
I mean, it was, you know, I'm trying to smooth things over with people.
It's been suggested that you want to apologise to people. Do you want to do that?
Yes.
Could you say it a bit louder?
I'd like to apologise. I've been under a lot of pressure,
Okay.
especially since I got back to this country. And I'd like to apologise to anybody I've offended. And I'd like to extend that apology to Max and Sarah.
And what about any others? You mean you were talking about something like 100 women you've been online with, connecting with. Is that something you want to talk about?
I mean, we're getting into sensitive areas here.
Okay, fine. Yeah. If there's anything which is too sensitive or may impinge on your legal issues,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what those are going to be. Only you know what that's going to be. So I don't want to in any way get you to say something which legally is going to cause a problem. Either way, at all. Okay.
I mean, I've offended a lot of people, obviously.
Now, what do you mean by obviously?
Because I'm being fairly honest. And what I mean by that is I've been with the common people, and I've been with the Illuminati billionaires, and I've been with both sides. Because there's such a big divide in between the two, the two sides don't understand each other at all.
Now, one of the biggest targeting that you're going to have is that people think you're a fantasist and a liar, and you change personality, or a schizoid. In other words, basically, in order to actually undermine James Casbolt and basically completely discredit everything he's ever done in his entire life, is to say you're a schizoid, fantasist, and a liar. Therefore, anything you say, which could be taken by anybody, they're just going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Now, how are you going to face that? How are you going to challenge that? How are you going to deal with that?
Well, when I left the army, I was seen by a top psychiatrist from the Department of Defense from the Pentagon, judged completely sane by him.
Okay.
And
Now this is all down to what you want to say or do.
yeah, but I mean,
You're facing jail right now. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting put in a cage. Yeah.
And without jumping around too much, which is what I have a tendency of doing, but we're trying to nail. I'm going to be tomorrow you're going to be facing some pretty. You're not going to be walking into a bed of roses.
Mm.
So the shit's hitting the fan.
Yeah.
James. So what do you want to? You've mentioned you want to apologise to people. Who do you want to apologise to? Because they wouldn't be hauling you into court on the basis that you've said a couple of impolite things to Sarah and Max. What's really the beef here in terms of what they're doing and what you want to apologise
I've
for?
offended a lot of people, haven't I? Because I've walked with both sides, like I say. I've walked with the common people and I've walked with the Illuminati billionaires. So I'm trying to bring a bit of common ground in between the two and help everyone understand each other. You know, because what's going to happen, the common people want to mass and lynch the billionaires, Illuminati like the French Revolution.
Yeah.
And the billionaires wanted, the...
Somebody has been painting the Illuminati and the rich people as bad people. And I think that's putting it mildly. There's been an agenda running. Some people say they're not human. They're not the powers that be are not actually human beings. They're actually some other kind of creatures. Do you have anything to say about that?
Well, they want to. Both sides want to attack each other because they don't understand each other. There's no common ground. They want.
Well, we've had a lot of child murders and deaths. That the Roman Catholic Church in Ireland, 900, 800 kids ritually murdered and massacred. A lot of children being hacked to death, killed, butchery,
yeah, but why
murder.
Why are they doing?
I mean,
why are they doing
this is
People
sort of
don't-
slightly not good.
Yeah, but why are they doing this? People don't understand what's going on.
Well,
People-
why?
people
Who's
just-
the they?
So yeah, I mean, until both sides understand each other, there'll be no communication. There'll be no common ground. The masses, the common people, want to lynch the billionaires, the Illuminati,
Okay.
and they in turn they want to start nuking them and releasing Ebola and things like that. It's I have
Why?
to choose my words carefully
Yes,
here.
okay. Why do the elite, so-called Illuminati, feel threatened that they are concerned in any way?
Because they're scared of being lynched by the
But
masses.
they're all powerful, How can they stop being lynched? What's the situation?
Well, they want they don't want to repeat the French Revolution or something. So they want someone like me to come on and explain or attempt to explain why they do the things they do.
Right, now this is where we're leaping into self-importance and fantasy. I mean, what's the situation there?
Well, they're all pedophiles. But why?
Why? Yeah. What is the reason?
Because they're it's a type of feeding, it's a type of vampirism. If they don't do it, they'll die.
I mean, very simply, from what I understand, no species will kill its own young. I think there's some issues with pigs and things.
Pedophilia and child ritual murder is two different areas. There's a reason why they do the pedophilia. There's a reason why they do the child ritual murder. The reason why they do pedophilia is because they need to feed.
So
they need the sexual.
Why do they need to feed? Can you explain those two things?
Because they're not human. They're very old.
What is they?
They're vampires. They need to regenerate their flesh. They need the hormones.
I mean, when people say about vampires, we're talking about the Hollywood films. What do you mean by a vampire? What creature? What are you talking about?
These days, it's a cyborg kind of vampire. A cyborg exoskeleton, but the flesh covering is dead essentially. So it needs to be constantly regenerated. That's why they need the hormones. They need the blood. They need the sexual contact too.
And that is why?
Because they need to regenerate their flesh. If they don't do that, they'll die. Same as if you don't eat, you'll die.
So what element? Does this mean that they can take it from living people that don't die, or are you talking about dead people that they do what to or what?
They need sexual contact with children because young blood can regenerate you. I mean, that's a scientific fact.
And now when you say sexual contact, that doesn't normally involve blood.
It's both. It's sex and, biting certain areas of the body. It usually starts off by biting and then leads to sexual contact.
And now, have you been involved with any of this sort of thing, or seen it, or?
I'd rather talk about that another time.
Okay. Well, let's get back to as we discussed before we came from came to the hotel. You want to apologise to people, but we've only really basically stuck with Sarah and Max, and I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong. That because Max didn't react in a very negative way, and call you all these sort of things on camera, that you've respected that in some way.
I mean, this just can't go on endlessly. You know, this war of words that's going on, and just, you know, I got people following him around. He got people following me around.
So, what is your relationship with Max? Are you part of the same batch of children?
I remember him from the past on many occasions.
The bottom line is that you were brought to the States. I was brought to the States. I don't want to bring me into this. The thing is that we've two Brits in America under a super soldier label. Why are there two Brits in the first place? Because, I mean, Max has got his story and things. We leave that as partially out of the way. But what's the beef with two British children growing up? I mean, you're 38 now.
Yeah.
And you're involved with some kind of rituals. What's this all about?
Well, I mean, I explained a lot of this.
Yeah, right now, let's just get this in the can right now for this.
We got a lot of history together, Miles, a lot of history.
Because Max sort of seemed to come on the scene relatively recently.
Yeah.
And in the Kerry Cassidy interview, where Kerry interviewed you and Max, it seemed that you seemed to be in some kind of control of Max. You didn't want him to say certain things. You were able to, there seemed to be some kind of thing where Max wasn't able to verbalise correctly.
Possibly.
I mean, bearing in mind, the bottom line is, James, you could be going to the clink very soon, and certain things could maybe happen to you. You'll be hauled off to the States, whatever happens, and you're never going to see the light of day again. You're going to be disassembled. So let's try to get things in a nutshell here. This could be the last time we got an opportunity to talk about this. Now, maybe not. But, what do you want to feel about this?
This isn't the end of me. This is just the beginning. This is all going to go mainstream.
Yes. Well, yeah, the mainstream press is potentially involved, but the mainstream press isn't going to go into this kind of stuff.
Because they don't need to, as long as my face is there. That's all that's important.
Now, what I'm talking about is why you have deliberately gone on Facebook. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Again, I'm always cautioning you this. Correct me if I'm wrong. You've gone after all these women who've flocked, but you're talking, 100 women. They're all mad as hell that you've seduced them, said terrible things, sent obscene photographs or whatever. What are you connecting there? Because we're obviously, James, we're not talking about one person here. There's obviously there are other entities and beings or some kind of personalities which are switching inside you for these things. Are you able to separate those and talk about those?
It's the mood pack, isn't it? A harem. Something that I have to do.
Right, now who's that?
I have to breed with a lot of women.
Right. Well, you're not going to do that if you're locked up in jail, are you? So the strategy on this isn't working.
Do you know how many women are contacting me and saying that they've remembered me coming into their bedroom, all different parts of America.
Yeah.
They're turning up pregnant. They're losing the babies. Multiple women.
Tell us about this. This is your time to say this.
There's some kind of breeding program going on.
Now,
That's all I know, and it's with the space program.
I've said quite often that you don't have personally the actual. It's not a criticism. I mean, you're not a webmaster. There's too many other talents involved here. So somebody's running you. I've said this, and you've said no, nobody's running me and things. I mean, what do you say about that? Somebody is controlling or using you for a purpose.
Yeah, there's people involved, like Michael Aquino. He wants me to get certain information out.
What do you want to talk about that information?
Yeah, why is he? He's being accused of ritual child murder at Bohemian Grove and all different places.
Now, who is Michael Aquino?
He's a general in the NSA.
Okay.
He's a doctor, the head of the Templar sect based in San Francisco. He lived just near us.
And us
we
being
lived in San Francisco.
the person you're not allowed to
The
talk
person
about.
I'm not allowed to talk about. He lived just near us on Russian Hill. But why is he doing that? Why is an intelligent man like that?
Well, you're
Murdering
intelligent.
children.
I mean, you're not stupid, James. You know, you may not know how to clean your laundry or something, or whatever. You know, I mean, we're talking about domestic issues here, whatever, with a person we can't talk about.
Yeah.
But I mean, those are sort of. I mean, for Christ's sake, some people don't put the top on the toothpaste, and that can break up a whole relationship. You know, things like that can really get people annoyed. Not putting the top on the toothpaste, or not putting the lid down on the toilet. These are domestic issues which can lead to the divorce. You know, but the bottom line is that you were brought to the States. Before you went to the States, a person came from abroad, and you had a relationship with that person.
Yeah.
Right? Over how many years, can you say that?
About 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Because one of the other guys that's talked to on camera is Jan.
Yeah.
And this photograph of you looking really quite slim with his other person. And that seemed to be quite a happy situation.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And that went on for until you went to the States in December 2011. Is that right? When it is alleged that you joined the US Army, but a lot of people don't believe that actually happened. It was just staged. So what happened there? What brought you to America?
I mean, it was happy. It was great. The whole thing was great.
I mean, I remember
because it's the breeding program again.
Yeah.
My son.
Yeah. And things seem to be hunky-dory at the UFO Congress. You talk to Joanne, you're pushing a pram,
Yeah.
you know, domestic bliss, but you're all puffed up because you're running all these, you're taking these steroids.
Steroid, testosterone, steroids.
Yeah, but that doesn't make you strong, or, I mean, what were you doing that for?
Because I was based at Fort Sam, Houston. I was in the space program, getting sent up there. And
Okay.
So you need to have as much body mass as possible up there.
What is the so-called, what do you mean by the secret space program?
They're colonising other planets. You know, like Mars is like a holiday resort for the rich.
Sort of Sedona?
It's like Arizona there.
Yeah.
Colonising whole planets, and this is why, you say 100 women. A lot of them are getting.
But this whole
a lot of them are getting pregnant, and
Yeah.
that's. I'm sure a lot of these women will talk to you. But where are the babies going? Because they're definitely getting pregnant, and then they're losing them.
So is this secret space program? Is it like a Gary McKinnon thing or what? What I mean, they can't. The Americans didn't even land on the moon with the Apollo thing. I mean, as a lot of people are saying, and yet you're talking about a space program involving Mars and other planets. I mean, where does this come into reality?
I mean, a lot of it's based at the NSA. You were based in San Antonio, Houston, Texas. That's where I was.
Right.
I remember things like piloting almost German Fourth Reich stuff, flying disc. Some sort of crash, and I injured my neck. And I was walking around, couldn't straighten my neck for days, walking around the base afterwards.
Which base is this?
Fort Sam, Texas.
Okay.
And all I remember was the nose was dug in the ground and just me climbing out. And then
Now you're fantasizing now, James. Is this imagination of what? How can you? Is there any way you can verify this or show that this thing happened?
Pictures were coming out, weren't they?
Yeah.
Very triggering pictures of me supposedly on board these craft.
Now, who's been releasing these photographs? Any way of getting hold of them in any way?
British intelligence. A guy connected. Very highly connected.
Now, who's this guy you're talking about?
John Mawson. John Mawson goes by Lunar Moon on Facebook.
Okay.
Lunar Moon.
And Lunar Moon, just for the sake of this recording, he, before the basis of the barge thing, seemed to have recorded like a like a big triangle thing at the barge.
It looked like ships coming out the underground bases there in Wiltshire. And he was visited by SIS guys. When he was filming that, they showed him their passes and said, "Yeah, carry on." It's part of the disclosure for all this.
Somebody who did turn up at the base of the barge thing was a guy that said to me that he backed up your story of the assassination in Hyde Park. Do you want to talk about that person?
Well, the person we can't talk about knows I come back to the hotel with my face bruised. She saw that. I got punched in the face as it was happening. Came back with all my nose swollen. Because I was training at the time, and I went for a jog in Hyde Park.
Yeah.
I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt.
Probably one of the most outrageous things that people can't really get their head around is when Max is alleged to have shot you in the head with the bullet, and I call it the secret Kennedy bullet, the interdimensional time traveling bullet that miraculously shoots you in the head but doesn't do any damage. And how do you retain people's credibility with a story like that? Because to be shot at virtually point blank range and survive it because you got. I mean, how do you push that story and make people believe it?
It's a regeneration. The whole reason for the pedophilia is it because there's a school of thought that Jimmy Savile going into hospitals, having sex with dying children.
Okay, the school of four.
School of thought. There's a school of thought.
School of thought. Okay.
Suggests there was reasons behind that, and it wasn't just insanity. This is why I'm trying to help common people understand the Illuminati. Is why I'm trying to help.
Well, how are you going to do that?
Understand common people.
Okay, how are you going to do that if you're causing a lot of trouble on Facebook, annoying a lot of people, in your own words, and you still haven't fully apologised for that, and then you're going to hit the slammer possibly tomorrow? How are you going to achieve that goal?
Well, I need to come here and explain things, don't I? Like you're asking me how I regenerate.
Well, there's no.
You're asking me about vampires. You're
Yes.
asking me about regenerating dead flesh around a cyborg exoskeleton, for the want of a better word.
And where is this possible to be seen? Is there any evidence that you could dig up? I mean, we've got to start having evidence. Can we see that somewhere, or is there any place that can be observed? Or
Well, that's in the hands of Plum Productions, and that's more your
right
thing at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we'll all find out. Hopefully, maybe that'll go out in September. I'm not too sure.
I just finished explaining this. There's a school of thought that suggests that we're talking about regenerating flesh here, and this is a necrophilia. This is pedophilia. This is all this. Jimmy Savile. Why was he going into the hospitals? Why was he having sex with dying children? Why was he having sex with injured children? Because as he's taking something from them, he's also giving something back to them. That's what certain. There's ideas behind this. You can. Sex magic, necrophilia. You can bring the dead back to life with it.
Does that mean you reanimate a body, but do you bring a soul back into it?
You're reanimating flesh.
See, this is what some people have said has happened to you, Michael, James. that you have suffered soul damage. There were people. It's on the YouTube comments that you're being remotely accessed. Somebody is remotely controlling you, and they were running you at that thing. You've got the really deep black eyes. I mean, did you have drugs beforehand? Did you have any? I mean, this is what's been said. Something is reanimating you. That you've gone through some kind of
I've been
process.
reanimated. I would not dispute that. I wasn't on drugs. I was drinking a lot of Coca-Cola and smoking cigarettes.
Now, something I would dispute with you is the situation where you shot all those people, because that was one of the reasons why you had to be reported to the police. You made a public statement. You've gone to New York in a public place and shot all these people in the face. You made that. Now that is an outrageous statement. That sounds like outrageous fantasy. What would you say to people who would suggest that that's just completely ridiculous?
Outrageous fantasy.
Yeah. The Sotheby's thing, because for a couple of years that seemed to be a very nice thing. It's just a very nice civilized Eric thing. You're holding that big diamond thing. But you're saying that at that event you went and shot all those various people. Now you said that on the recording I made with you down in St Ives, and you virtually identically repeated that in public.
Yeah.
But how can you argue that actually happened, or is it just fantasy that's just that just can't be proved or whatever?
I think more will come to light in the future about that.
And what do you mean by that?
It's all about to go mainstream.
You've said that already before. How's it going to go mainstream?
Like I said, the Catholic Church are grooming me to be the public face of.
Now you are also a priest. Could you explain what that is? Peter Romanus.
I'm a Mormon priest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was given the Mormon priesthood at Fort Leonard Wood.
Now, is that
in
how
one of the
do you get
military
that?
churches there.
What's involved with that?
I was at Echo 210 Infantry Company at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. The best soldiers, supposed to be the best infantry company in the whole US Army. But the best soldiers there were Mormons. And got close to a group of about 5 of them. One guy in particular named Dallas Maddox, Maddox, and he went Special Forces after that.
Okay, just talking about the crew. Let's call them the crew. The people in the States that you've hurt. Do you want to talk to them directly? Like Jay or any other people there? Anybody you want to address to them? And anybody you want to... This is your opportunity. I want to give you the
Everyone's
opportunity.
just injured, aren't they? From
Yeah.
it. Everyone's traumatised and injured. Everyone involved. Jay, everyone. Max there, everyone. James Rank, everyone.
Injured in what way?
Emotionally. Everyone's got ripped apart and turned against each other.
Were they turned against each other for any? I mean, Aaron, the whole lot, all that crew.
Just everyone, yeah. I mean, I think more will come to light in the future. So much happened. If you look at it all together, it just blows your mind. It's going to take a while for me. Still, it's what, like it's a year and a half or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so I'm still trying to make sense of what happened, and it was so big, it's world changing. It was huge.
Okay, well that's dealing with people in the United States. Anybody else in the United States that you would like to say a message to? In any way?
Yeah, I'd like to say hello to the certain person I can't talk about. And I hope my son is well. I'd like to say hello to Amelia, even though there's been a lot of nastiness gone back and forth. And I'd like to say hello to Carmen. And I'd like to say hello to Jerusha. And I'd like to say hello to Brandy too.
What about Annie Briggs?
I haven't got much to say.
Okay. Okay, that's people in the States. We'll just take a brief pause. Okay.
Miles asked me if I wanted to say hello to anyone in America. So I
I am
said
sick
hello.
to death, and I don't care if you put it online. I am sick to death of Facebook. Your mother's sick to death of it. Kim's sick to death of it. Keisha's sick to death of it. All the other people are. The only people that's carrying on the facade of Facebook is that nasty piece of work, and I won't mention her name, who sends vile, disgusting photos, and so do you. So why don't you actually tell the truth? And people who have actually tried to help you with Miles, you have kicked in the teeth. So actually your apology should be really deep felt. There's a lot of hurt people and angry, and you don't understand that.
Okay, this is who's helped me
I
out
don't want to be on
and
that.
helped me a lot.
Go away.
Everybody knows.
You disgust me as a human being. You're not even human. That's the point. You've got no emotion.
It would be a lot easier for me to have one woman, but it's not going to work out like that.
Okay, now that, I've deliberately recorded that final little bit between this discord of somebody who's trying to help you, because it also will. There's a lot of people trying to help you. Why do you think people want to help you? Why don't you just people just say, "Look, James, back away off. We don't give it down. Throw the key away and good riddance." I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, whatever that.
I'm not sure I really understand the question.
Well, the question is, we've had some people with some military connections involved with certain things involving coincidences, and we'll just leave it at that. And maybe the what I said off camera beforehand about my alleged involvement with MI5, about the cars with the 007.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I call a bit of a remarkable set of coincidences. Why do you think people want to help? I mean, the long and short of it is, James Casbolt, you know, he's a bum, he's an unfit whatever, unfit father, you know, blah, blah, blah. That's normal. That's a normal situation with any kind of marital discord, right? Which we discussed beforehand. What makes you anything other than just simply marital discord and family breakup?
I'm still trying to get my head around what just happened there. And it's fair enough that you recorded it.
Yeah.
I'm not here to hide things.
I mean, I'm being very diplomatic when I say it.
I'm not here to hide anything.
Yeah. Well, you've got a few more minutes to basically say your piece, because that's going to be it probably. And then you're going to be in a situation where you're not going to be with other people who may not quite be as you know, diplomatic.
Yeah, this is all a big sex magic ritual in a lot of ways. It's all about regeneration. It's about the space program.
I mean,
It's about it's about breeding a new army.
Yeah, but if you're going to go
The
to
Mormon
jail,
Church.
yeah, if you're going to go to jail, maybe be extradited to the United States to be placed back in the situation where whatever may or may not have happened out there. My basic premise is there's no way that they would select you to marry a certain person without realizing your personality profile, what you're likely to do, what you're not likely to do. You have the kid, they chuck you out of the country, really make you mad as hell, and then not expect you to react in a certain series of ways that you reacted in. I can't see how they wouldn't have predicted that. So I can't see how...
this was all planned. That we were taking pornographic films and pictures and it go on the internet. That was all planned to get the attention. She knew that I was releasing that stuff, and she still carried on letting me. And me and this certain person were closely related. So in a way, it's kind of incest. We've been together in the programs.
I mean, we've
all been together in the programs. Max, me, this certain person I can't talk about. Since children.
My analysis is that this is a deliberate ploy to connect psychically with an awful lot of people for some reason.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And as such, I feel that you're a weapons system and you are being deployed.
I'd agree with that.
And as such, somebody's operating that weapons system, and that makes you extremely dangerous.
I agree with that.
What is your programming relating to that weapons system? What is your mission?
I'm about to go active again.
What do you mean by active again?
Act on live operations again.
In jail? Kicking a football? Solitary confinement? Maybe being beaten to crap out of because you're, paedophilic child molester, whatever. I mean, it seems to get nasty in there. Maybe not.
No, I'm about to go live again. There's more to it than just prison.
Right. You are going to court tomorrow.
Yep.
You've told me that you're pleading guilty. Is that right?
Yep.
You are pleading guilty to what?
Stalking.
Online.
Releasing naked pictures of this person, which was all planned.
But you've also been stalking about 100 other women or something like that, from what I gather. In terms of online relationships.
This stalking is a new law.
Yes,
it's very
and they want to can your ass on this, so they can actually show allegedly can your ass on this.
Yeah. And
this is a scandal. This this particular other person has been grossly wronged by this horrible man from England, who's an unfit father, bum, and whatever, blah blah blah, and throw the key away. So you are now saying you're actually being actively deployed. Is this an imagination or what?
Plus I need to get out of the way of the disclosure and let it be handled professionally.
So it's nuts, so somebody else is going to come along and do it professionally.
Yeah, I've said what I needed to say. I can get out of the way now and it can be handled professionally.
Right, which would appear to be the Mirage film, which is
and
a
other
very
things,
complex.
Yeah, Sun newspaper contacting my family, my cousin, you. It's already in all the local. It's already in a lot of papers, a lot of mainstream media papers. It's all been slowly. The vampires, quote unquote, are wanting to be known. Say the one thing about Jimmy Savile before I go.
Yeah.
He's taken, but he's given too.
In what way do you mean taken, given?
When he was doing what he was doing, why was he targeting people in hospitals?
I mean, he was running for 40 years plus, BBC, high profile,
running marathons,
positively vetted to do what he's doing, and along with the other numbers, the other people. It's been suggested that the whole rock industry is involved with all this, the whole pop music industry.
You don't just go in to hospitals and start having sex with dead bodies, start having sex with injured children. He's taken, but he's given. He's taken with this hand, he's given with that hand. Because he's able to regenerate by having sexual contact with the sick, by having sexual contact with the dying, he's able to bring them back and regenerate them. So,
Well,
this is people, before they want to lynch the Illuminati and lynch every pedophile out there, they might want to not have so much knee-jerk reactions to it. And then there needs to be less hysteria around it. It needs to be understood.
well, if you've got
why they're
horrible
doing it.
creatures killing children or mutilating them, or as happened at these this Irish home for the for unmarried mothers, I mean, ritual slaughter of children up to the age of 9, or hacked or whatever it is. This is absolutely diabolically horrendous beyond any.
Pedophilia and ritual child murder are two separate
Okay,
things.
explain
Two
the
completely
ritual child
separate
murder.
things. Ritual child murder. Why is Michael Aquino going out snatching up children and sacrificing them? He's a general in the NSA. He has to make tough decisions. There's something in the underground bases that is being fed by this.
What do you mean, something? A creature or what? An energy?
Some AI thing, I think it is. Some kind of AI thing. I don't know every square inch of every underground base.
Yeah.
But
Okay, well, essentially,
the reason why he is decided this thing, whatever it is fed with sacrifice. He has to make a decision. Do I sacrifice a child to this and keep it asleep for a month? If I don't, it comes onto the surface and 1,000, 2,000 people could die. So he has to make that decision. His job is national security. His job is, he's been indoctrinated with the greater good. So he has to make the decision. Is it one sacrifice to save 1,000 lives, possibly?
is this what you feel that you're involved with when you say you're being reactivated and things? For the greater good or whatever?
It's I'm being military activated again.
Well, we'll have to see what actually happens in court. What are you standing as? What's your name?
My legal name on my birth certificate,
Now, what's that?
James Casbolt.
Right. And, okay, we talked about apologising to people. Obviously, that wasn't a good enough apology, as this other person in the room has declared. She walked out. What about people in this country, like the likes of Gridkeeper, Rod, other people who've not appeared on camera but have also talked, been involved with you before, you've known you as a kid, as in Cornwall?
I apologise to anyone I've offended. Before the Illuminati want to nuke everyone and kill the population, before the common man wants to lynch the Illuminati, maybe they should start to understand each other a little bit more.
Okay, that's the big picture. What
I've
about,
been on both sides.
yeah, what about your friends who've known you from school?
Well, I hoped for Gridkeeper, he was confused why I said certain things when I came back from America, why I did certain things when I came back from America.
Were they saying that you're a different person?
He posted comments like, what is it? He's a clever manipulator, things like that.
Yeah.
So I hope he can understand a bit more why I said the things I said.
Well, what would lead him to want to do that? Can you say anything about that?
Lead him to do what?
Why should he want to? Why should he misunderstand what you're saying in the first place? These are your mates. You know,
Yeah.
these are people you've allegedly done ceremonies with.
Mm.
They're saying he changed whenever he came back to the States was not the guy that they knew.
Mm.
What do you say to that?
I think I offended Gridkeeper with some of the comments I made about Ian Watkins,
And who's he?
the pop singer that was got 25 years for pedophilia.
Anybody else you want to say hello goodbye to on the 22nd
Yeah.
of August.
She's helped me out.
You have got a military brief. You've been seen to the doctor. Yeah, you're medically fit to do this. You're not claiming. Are you claiming? Basically off your rocker to get off easy or what?
No. I'm pleading guilty because I did release naked pictures of her.
And from what I gather, a lot of your friends said, look, you can't do this. So why did you go ahead with it? What's driven you to do this?
It's all part of the disclosure, or part of disclosure.
What do you mean by disclosure?
You need to get people's attention.
For what?
So both sides can understand each other. No?
I don't know what we'll call it, basis of 3,420 or something. I mean, this is serious. You're going to court tomorrow, today.
Mm-hmm.
The shit's hitting the fan. No fantasies anymore. Real things, handcuffs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Bye-byes, whatever it could be, or maybe not, I don't think they're going to quite send you a birthday card.
Mm-hmm.
What are the penalties? What's the sentencing that you've been advised?
A maximum of 5 years.
Right.
Less time for pleading guilty.
Right. What about remorse? I mean, you've hurt people. Do you have remorse for this?
I apologise to anybody I've hurt, anyone I've offended. I'm just here to tell my experience, which I have a lot of.
Okay. Well, thanks very much. We'll call that a day. And see you in the morning.
Okay.
James Casbolt. Happy days. If that's the right phrase to say.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Miles for the Basis Project outside Truro Crown Court with James Casbolt, and he's just come out of the court because things have changed. What's happened?
Shall I look at the camera?
Yes, look at the camera.
I'm just going to court and being told there's extra charges being added. They're going to add blackmail on top of stalking now. So the blackmail charge carries a maximum sentence of 14 years. The stalking charge carries a maximum sentence of 5 years. So when they first arrested me, they were going to either choose one or the other, and the Crown Prosecution Service chose stalking. But now, for some reason, they've announced on the day they're going to charge me with both, which is 19 years maximum.
Okay,
sentence.
well, last night I woke up with blood coming out of my ear, and something's happened. Now, the thing that you sent me on an email, James, was 20 Recreation Road in Reading. Now, we talked about that, I think, off camera a little bit last night, but Caroline went into more details. Do you have anything to say about that? Exactly what does that mean, 20 Recreation Road in Reading?
That's somewhere, that's a location that the police need to investigate.
Is this to do with the greater understanding that the Illuminati wish to give to the public? You mentioned in your interview last night.
It's to do with ritual murder.
At what age were you when you were in there? Can you remember?
This was late 80s, 11 or 12.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you participate in anything that in there? Can you talk about any of that?
I was forced to participate as a child. Yeah.
In what way are you wanting to say anything about that?
It's a kind of Fred West case. You know.
Okay. The Fred West connection with Savile.
Yeah. There's bodies buried there at that location.
Any numbers? Any ideas?
More than 3.
More than 3 Less than 10?
Less than 10, more than 3.
But that's as far as you know.
Yeah.
Are you able to give any indications where those burials would be at that location?
Yeah, they built a shed over the top of it.
Okay.
It's a big long garden. They built a shed on the left side over the top of the bodies.
Okay. Bearing in mind, obviously, the police will be looking at this at some time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Certainly this is all for the police and for the betterment of the wider public.
Yep.
Anything further you want to say? I mean, this court case, you may not be able to be as free as this in the next couple of hours.
Yeah. We'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah. Well, there it is for the Basis Project. The Basis Project is about investigating things and taking the story where it goes, and the story's going to very gruesome ritual killings in Reading.
Yep.
Is there anything further you want to add? Any other information about any other types of things like that you can remember?
I think I'll just leave it there for the moment, see what happens in the next couple of hours.
Okay, this is the Basis Project at Truro Crown Court. James Michael Casbolt has been released on bail until November. The primary interest of this case is really between a private couple who are having a very serious disagreement which has reached the court. This really is not the concern of the Basis Project. It has peripheral concern because of the other things which James Michael Casbolt has been saying. Now, during the course of this report, he's made statements about an address and certain terrible crimes in Reading. I have reported these to the police, and they're going to take due action, whether it's fiction, fact, fantasy, or whatever. If that actually happens, if there are crimes found to have happened there, then the due process of law will proceed. Whether this will then lead to why Michael or James Casbolt's stories are so fanciful and full of stories, how many of these are true or not still remains to be seen. But if any of them are true, it means that we are in very serious trouble, and there are elements within society conducting horrendous crimes of most unspeakable, terrible nature against children. And one of the whole points of courts like this is to protect the children. Now, it's easy in hindsight to say that what this has been is a fanciful story, it's all rubbish, but there seems to be quite a lot of smoke here. And that's what the Basis Project is about. It's about research and following the story to see how that story pans out. It's a researcher's resource. And that's what these recordings are for. If anything, we hope to protect people and help people. And that's about as much as I can say at this stage. This is the Basis Project, closing down on this particular story and letting it pursue its case between two people. Do you want to say anything more?
I want to get my car.
You want to get a car. Okay, the person to my right wants to get the car. Okay, well, I think that's enough said. The new information about Reading, as I say, we'll have to see what happens about that. Again, it's in the hands of the police, and that's as far as I wish to go with this. It's a very difficult story, trauma-induced mind control of children, whatever that means, what effect it has on adults as they pursue their lives now, possibly facing a very long sentence, but we'll see. We'll leave that in the hands of the court and the national press. This is Miles Johnson of the Basis Project, signing off.